All right, buddy. Welcome to another episode of the Sunday Show. Arsenal fan circle here. Pull up a chair, pull up a driving seat, pull up a joystick, whatever you're doing right now. So I know some of you are playing um, footy on the TV. Some of you are driving, and some of you are working, and some of you are listening. You're all listening intently, but stick a like on this video. It's going to be me for a little bit solo, and then we will get the subs. The subs are warming up right now. I know Stan may be joining at least. Not sure about Gary or um, Tony, Stoney, or Alonso at this point in time. Stephen, first one in the house. I'm on the road today, so I'll just be listening, and thanks for listening. Drive safely as well. This was always going to be a hard game, but my only question is, after scoring, we stopped like we're willing to salve our draw, and it cost us. Why does he keep doing this? It cost us badly. Yeah, I saw that one a bit earlier, Stephen, so I'm definitely have a considered response, but I'm going to wait a little bit. If you can hang in there with us, and we'll get into all of that. We'll get the roll call going here, though. Rids is in the house. Evening, yeah. Listen, Unai Emery might not have been the best fit for Arsenal at the end of the day, and in the particular time where in our era and time of what we had and what players we had, because it just wasn't the right manager for the right club. My feelings were anyway, and the right mentality or culture that we had at the club at the time, but. You have to say, in the lesser lights, Unai Emery excels, and he can be pretty good tactically as well. But he's brought Aston Villa to a very, very good point to maybe where they will be called challengers for a week or 10 days. Yeah, good evening, gents, from Arsenal Fan Circle. Everybody here, live in 4 minutes, solo, plus the subs are coming in. So I mentioned this earlier. Ridge is listening in, watching you guys whilst managing Newell's Old Boys in FM24. So they probably had the Old Boys have less legs than Arsenal had yesterday against Aston Villa at the end of the day. BX Gunner in the house. Thanks for being here. Those just got to work and appreciate the show. Appreciate you being here. Be safe working. Those who are not driving, send comments and questions if at all possible. Fire them in. Stan will get here. Maybe Gary, maybe Tony will get here. Yep, just his play. So give Stan a little bit of time. He's running a little bit late right now, and I'll get the show started, get it all warmed up. Red said perspective is important when looking back at yesterday. Not having injuries as an excuse, but it's margins which decide the Premier League. Small margins indeed. And, we've all seen the captions, right? Our centre-backs have done a good job. Mascara at the back, Hincapi at the back. And then you get to a situation where you're moving what extensively is a right back in Urian Timber, who has played centre-back before in his career. And you're partnering him with Hincapi. And whilst they did a good job defending, it took 95 plus minutes to breach a second time and to overload the amount of goals that we were able to accrue yesterday. So in any game, it's about attacking, it's about defending, it's a team game. And the idea of the game is to score more than you concede. And we weren't able to do that yesterday. I was thinking about this earlier, and we've got plenty of things to go through today as well. But Gary's always said that draws are killers. He'd rather win games, and you can accrue more points winning. So think about the other time where we had a very, very late goal in the game, an Arsenal game, right? It was up at Newcastle. We won that game at the death and injury time. And we won that one and took 3 points. And we suffered at the hands of Aston Villa yesterday. with a last-minute goal in extra time, 95 minutes. So you put those two games together, and a lot of people say, well, they could have been draws. Well, if you drew the two of them, you get 2 points. As it stands right now, we've gotten 3 points from those two games. Yes, trying to put a brave face on what happened yesterday. Um, so really quick capping the game yesterday. The lineup was David Raya at the back, as I mentioned, Timber and Hincapi, the combination at centre back. We've been trying to replace the assurance that Gabriel and Saliba give us. And whilst we have a good squad, the squad has taken care of a lot of ills, a lot of different things throughout the season. This game was a difficult game, one too many. Sliding Timber in alongside Hincapi. White on the outside of him, and outside of Hincapi was Calafiori. Zubimendi was your holding midfielder, and we had Rice and Odegaard up front. Another thing we have to talk about is Abarichi Eze put out on the left wing as well to maybe accommodate Odegaard. These are questions we'll have to address. Mikel Merino continued in the absence of Gyökeres, building up his fitness, and Bukayo Saka on the right side. So that was the team. And the goals, Arsenal go behind in the 37th minute through a Matty Cash stealing in at the back post and scoring a goal through the legs of David Raya. And equalizer coming from Leandro Trossard in the second half, 7 minutes into the second half. And then there's a point in time he equalized the game. We looked really good in those 7-8 minutes leading up to that goal in the second half. We looked good. There is a question from Stephen earlier. We'll address that one, Stephen. How we didn't continue with the initiative. And then at the end, we saw a couple of goals actually today, and Manchester City actually lost up at Newcastle. These are goals of chaos. I call them goals of chaos. Newcastle extracted a couple of chaotic instances from Man City a couple of weeks ago and won that game 2-1. And then this morning, Brighton equalized West Ham with a lot of chaos in their box. And that's what happened to Arsenal. We had some moments of chaos which was pressure points exerted upon us by Aston Villa and their style of football. They play fast football. They put a lot of caution to the wind. They put long balls that bypass midfield, and they get our defenders turned around. In that sequence of the goal from Buendia, Hincapi, who had played quite well, is chasing the ball out into the right back area and just can't get to the ball. He clears it hastily. He goes after a throw. From that point on, the ball comes back into our area in the last seconds of the game, and we just are not able to get something. We're not able to get control of the ball, and Mikel Arteta called it chaos. So we were hit by some painful chaos at the end of the day. So indeed, small margins really, and would we have taken a draw? We would have taken a draw for sure, but we've gone into a kind of a worrying sequence now in the last 4 or 5 games. The last 4 or 5 games do not make good reading. The loss yesterday against Aston Villa. We did beat Brentford 3-0 in the midweek. That draw against Chelsea was a tough one to take with Caicedo sent off, having an extra man. And before that, we beat Tottenham in another emotional high instance game. 4-1 win with Eze's hat-trick. And then before that, before the last international break, we drew 2-2 to Sunderland. And the Sunderland draw is tough as well because that was another last minute situation where you could say we were unable to defend these situations right at the death. So we've had Sunderland late, and then we've had Aston Villa late yesterday. Really has a comment here. Um, Starting as a let me see if I can put it up here. Starting as a on the left instead of Martinelli didn't make sense to me. Yeah, I agree. The only way you could rationalize it, which is not a good way for me and not a good explanation, is that you're looking to Eze to be more ball secure, hold on to the ball more, and build a solid midfield base upon which we could work. Odegaard, Eze, Declan Rice, and Zubimendi in the middle. And then you're asking Mikel Merino maybe, and Saka to form two up front maybe. But for me, Martinelli gives you a little bit more balance, gives you a little bit more defensive work, tracking back, and why we didn't go with Martinelli over Eze, or even Eze over Odegaard, is sort of a bigger um, question in my mind as well. Um, right now, the back four picks itself. The team picks itself due to injuries. Other than Miles Lewis Skelly, we had to field White, Timber, Hincapi, Calafiori, and David Raya. There's a question mark as to why. The other question I have that's a strong question that I will pose to Stan when he joins and anyone else who will be joining. Why have we not talked about Norgard yet this season? Something I've been mentioning quietly in previous podcasts. Norgard has not really gotten too many minutes, and we've seen with other clubs this season that you need to continue to give your players some minutes, give them a routine this season. And I was just looking at the minutes that in the last week, the last three games, Declan Rice and Zubimendi have played the vast majority of those games. The last three games: Aston Villa yesterday on the Saturday, Brentford on a Wednesday, and Chelsea last Sunday. So within 6 days, we played three games, and Zubimendi has played a full game in two of those, and was subbed off in the 57th minute against Chelsea. And even more damning, Declan Rice has played two full games and subbed off in the 83rd minute. So Declan Rice has not gotten much minutes. And if you're going to say that Eze could be a left eight, it could play in midfield, and has played in midfield in the Odegaard role alongside Zubimendi and Rice. My feeling is give Rice a game off against Brentford, maybe. Give Rice some rest. Brentford was a pretty strong game in which you could have rotated your team quite a bit. Mosquera got injured coming out of the Brentford game. 5 or 6 weeks, it looks like he's going to be out. But other than that, we picked a pretty strong team. The only change from yesterday, obviously, was Mosquera from the Brentford game, and Madueke started for Saka. So, yeah, we started to manage Saka a little bit more his minutes. That's not. Why can't we do the same thing with Zubimendi and Rice? So yeah, it's been quite difficult. If you look at four midfielders, let's say, and it could be any three from these four: Eze, Odegaard, Zubimendi, and Rice. Well, that's four that you could rotate three each game. What do you pick between Odegaard or Eze or Rice and Eze? Throw Norgard into the mix, and now you got five options for three places in midfield. So yeah, really starting Eze on the left side instead of Martinelli didn't make sense. And I thought when Martinelli came on, he gave us something a little bit more. Obviously, when Trossard came on, he gave us the equalizer. It looked a lot better with Trossard, a player that I talked about for a few seasons before we signed him. Delighted that we signed him, and I know Tony's a big fan of Leandro Trossard as well. Always seems to come up big in big games for us. Um, Brady said Villa wanted him more, even after when we leveled, we dropped off and invited pressure. First and foremost, it has to be recognized that you have to give credit to the other team sometimes. Aston Villa did beat Manchester City earlier this season at Villa Park, and they were on a pretty good run of 4 or 5 wins on the trot leading up to the Arsenal game. So I knew it was going to be a very difficult game, coming as the first game of the weekend as well. Um, Traditionally, in years gone by, we were not good at the 12:30 games, but um, I thought we aside from obviously the lapse in concentration for the first goal, as a kind of flat-footed to his fullback. You could say it was his direct his direct player that he should have marked. But Matty Cash gambled. It's one of those. Actually, both of the goals. The players are in the right place at the right time. The ball comes to them in the spot that they would want it to be in, and you could say also Calafiori um, let Cash go as well in the first half. Um, but we did recover quite well at halftime, um, and equalized through Trossard. Um, and then 95 minutes, it's just chaos, right? Um, the ball gets recycled. Buendia actually has a shot. Got to call out David Raya as well. He had a wonderful game. Saved a couple of shots from Ollie Watkins, and was there to block the shot from Buendia in that sequence right at the end of the game as well. So um, David Raya did absolutely everything possible um, to maintain the point for us yesterday. Um, then, of course, you're looking at Manchester City, and they, while Sunderland have acquitted themselves quite well this season, um, they were not able to overcome a Manchester City team who would have been really spurred on by the defeat of Arsenal in the game, earlier in the day. So you cannot you cannot rely on other teams to get you the results. Now, with all of that being said, we have gone away from home to Manchester United. We beat them on the opening day of the season at Old Trafford. We've been to Anfield. We lost there. Um, we drew with Man City at home early doors in the season. We beat Newcastle in that game that I was talking about, 2-1 at the death. Um, Fulham away from home, not an easy place to go, but we won there 1-0. Um, Burnley away from home, but definitely Sunderland. That's another tough fixture out of the way. Chelsea, Stamford Bridge, and now Aston Villa. So here we are. We sit 2 points clear of Manchester City in a league that is proving to be quite equal and quite tough. We've played a lot of the tough games away from home at tough grounds, and whilst some of them are draws, we have picked up a couple of wins at Manchester United and Newcastle. Now, it just so happens you look at the table and say, well, we haven't beaten anyone really effectively that's high up in the table, and that is true. We did get a couple of draws though, and a lot of these teams are going to come back to the Emirates after Christmas, the second half of the season. So we will have to get through this period. I think every team has to get through this period where there's a lot of games. especially those teams who are in the Champions League. Um, their squads are being tested. Now, for us, I'd like to see Norgard. Now, I want to ask each and every one of you listening in right now, and when Stan joins, I'll ask him as well. Is the sky really falling? Is the ceiling really falling down on us? We're 2 points ahead against a good Man City team. We have yet to understand how good they are. They have lost 4 games already this season. Traditionally, Pep Guardiola's teams have gotten stronger as the season has gone on. If they are going to drop points, they would have done them by now, and they have done them by now. They have dropped 4 games. Um, but I just like Arsenal have to prove to me that they're a team that can go on and win the league. This may be a bit of a stretch for you guys, but I think this new Manchester City team have to prove it to me as well. I think they're really really good, but are they the Manchester City team of 2 or 3 seasons ago that pipped us to the title? You know, that remains to be seen. They rely a lot on Erling Haaland, and it's not a bad player to rely upon. But there are many other players in that team that uh, will need to score a decent amount of goals to keep things going. A little bit of an anomaly yesterday where they both of their centre backs scored against Sunderland. A long range effort from Diaz and Guardiol with a header as well. In quick style, I kind of put that result beyond doubt. So it is with a pinch of salt that we have to take the last 5 games. Looking at the last 5 games, as I have detailed, we won 2 of those against Brentford and Tottenham. We've drawn 2 against Sunderland and Chelsea, and we've lost 1 again yesterday against Aston Villa. Even a draw would have been a poor one in this period of 5 games. Picking up just 8 points from 15. We're going to add those 8 points from 15 to the 25 points from 30 available that we got before that in the 10 games before that. So looking at the first 10 games of the season, we won 8 of those, drew 1 against Man City, and lost the 1 at Anfield. So if it were not for the first 10 games of this season, these last 5 would make it look a lot worse on the table, as it were. Obviously, the differences are the squad is being stretched now more than ever. Doing well in the Champions League, doing well in the UEFA Champions League, winning every game, and topping that league may afford us some opportunity to rotate heavily and rest our important, vital players. The game on Wednesday against Club Brugge would be an opportunity to bring some players in like Waneri, Ethan Waneri, Miles Lewis Skelly, Norgard, as mentioned, Madueke, Martinelli, Gyökeres, even Victor Gyökeres should get some minutes in Club Brugge as well. And with all this striker talk as well, it is possible that Kai Havertz could be coming back soon, and Gabriel Jesus also. I'm not quite sure. Does any of you know about the status of Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba as well? I had thought that I heard a couple of games back that William Saliba would miss a couple of games. Does that put him in line for playing next weekend? And importantly, after a tough loss like this, you want to get back on the field. We'll be playing Club Brugge on Wednesday, and we'll be playing Wolverhampton Wanderers at the weekend as well. And that should be, I believe, a home game against one of the weaker teams in the league. There's no easy games in the Premier League, but you would hope that we could get back to winning ways. And detailing the points that I mentioned, first 10 games being very good, the last 5 games being not so good at all. Not picking up enough points in the last 5 games. That means we're going to have to string 4, 5, 6 wins together to go again. Um, the pressure will be on, but I think this team is equipped to handle the pressure. Um, but yeah, we need to put a few wins together now. And I think importantly, we have 4 or 5 games before we play Aston Villa again. And they're in an anomaly of the fixture list. The return game at the Emirates with Aston Villa will be toward the end of the end of this month. So we'll have an opportunity quickly to turn around and get our revenge on Aston Villa. Of course, the media treat Arsenal differently. Um, the media want to make it sound like the sky is falling on Arsenal. Other teams have major issues, and the media do not talk about them in such damning ways as they do to Arsenal. So now the media will make it sound like Arsenal is slowing up majorly. This is an issue of using our squad and the strength of our squad to enable us to get through some injuries. You have when any club has injuries to 3 of their better central defenders, I want to see what Man City looks like when there's injuries to their 3 main central defenders. I want to see what Liverpool looks like when there's injuries to 3 of their central defenders. I want to see what Chelsea looks like when there's injuries to 3 of their first choice central defenders. Um, Add in Kai Havertz and then realize that we've actually done pretty well up until this point, the first 15 games of the season. And I've always maintained that there is a long, long way to go in this season as well. 15 games in, there's still 23 games left. A lot to play for. So, whilst it was not ideal to concede at the last minute a goal in the final seconds, never even the last minute, a goal in the final seconds. Those ones are always nice. They're nice to win and really, really shitty to lose. And some people's weekends were turned sideways from that. So yeah, what we're dealing with now is a Premier League that has become the Premier League shows you something each and every year. The Premier League shows you a new side to itself. It shows you what the teams have been working on. I think what we've been seeing this Premier League season is a physicality and a pace. And the teams that have physicality and pace, and we are equipped with those qualities as well. But those teams that are equipped with physicality and pace are prospering right now. There are teams that are having struggles. Liverpool, especially, one of those. And we'll get into the news from Anfield lately. Manchester United, maybe not physical enough, maybe not pacey enough, and they're being found out as well. So it's an interesting nuance. The Premier League shows us something each and every day. Retroholic Gamer, thank you for being here. When we got back into the game, we should have brought on Norgard to add defensive stability to the defense. I wonder what is the situation that I don't usually get upset on these podcasts. I'm usually pretty level-headed. I will think about it privately, but Why is Norgard not getting a look in this midfield when you have 3 games in the last 6 days? Last Sunday, Wednesday, and yesterday. Um, Chelsea, Brentford, Aston Villa. Declan Rice and Zubimendi playing the majority of the minutes. Odegaard coming back in at the first opportunity again when Eze's been playing well in that role. As Stan would say, um, these players can't just be given the keys back to their starting spots. You know, even if Odegaard is the captain, the right thing to do is to keep playing Eze in that position until the performances outweigh. There's no competition, right? We're seeing competition all over the field, but do we have a competition between Odegaard and Eze for that right 8 position? I don't think so. I don't think it's been demonstrated by the manager. Myself, the manager is very much Mikel Arteta is very much wedded to Zubimendi, Rice, and Odegaard. And Eze, through spectacular performances, has had to bend his arm a little bit to be able to get onto the field. The performances of Rice and Zubimendi yesterday in the last 10, 15 minutes of that game at the end of a long week was evident. You could see them gassed. You could see Aston Villa becoming encouraged, Unai Emery throwing caution to the wind a little bit, and Aston Villa pushing for the winner. Rossa Mac, 21. Hello, Ryan, everyone. Thanks for being here, Rossa Mac, 21. But yeah, you could see Unai Emery pushing for the winner, making the changes, and the question that Stephen posed at the beginning of the podcast was, why didn't we kick on? Why didn't we kick on? I think partly because we were gassed, we were tired from a full week of games, which admittedly, Aston Villa had to play the same amount of games as we did. But I think they just threw more caution to the wind. And they're playing at home. The onus is on the home team. Yeah, I thought it would be Mr. Tom, but I didn't just want to come out with that. It's Mr. Tom. Who else would have a Leeds badge? There are others out there, Tom. You're not alone in this world. There are Leeds fans out there. Kudos to Leeds yesterday and midweek against Chelsea. Watching that game against Liverpool with interest because of Arne Slot's policy of picking players. But watching that game, Leeds struck me as a team. Not been watching a lot of Leeds this season, but it struck me as a team who can go score some goals, but quite poor defensively. And when Szoboszlai scored that third goal for Liverpool, I thought that was it. I thought that would be curtains for Leeds. And the manager, forget his name now. I should remember his name because it was a trivia question many years ago. Daniel Farke, yeah. He was raging. Farke was raging yesterday. Because of that lapse at the back. But all credit to Leeds. All credit to Leeds. They kept going. You're right, Tom. Listen, Liverpool should have won. And in some ways, that's another element of what I'm going to go with next for Arsenal. But Liverpool should have won, for sure. They gotten 3 goals. If you score 3 goals away from home, you have to be winning games, even if it's 3-2. You score 3 goals away from home, you have to be winning games. They Kanate let Leeds back into that game, and Arnie Slot came out and said it. Kanate's always at the crime scene. That's what he said. So yeah, Liverpool should have won. They had a 2-0 lead. They gave away a penalty, well dispatched by Calvert Lewin, and very nice equaliser when Liverpool were a little bit sixes at odds, 6 and 7s, and then right at the end, terrible defending from a set piece, and Liverpool are very much a wounded animal. But here's where I'm going to go with that. Then us Arsenal fans, we we want that Premier League title, and we feel very strongly about it. We've been there or thereabouts for a few seasons, and this is going to be the season. This is going to be the season. It has to be the season. Even though some of you are not feeling it now, you're not feeling it because Pep Guardiola knows how to win leagues in and out, and we're 2 points. We're only two. The sky's falling in on us. We're only 2 points ahead of City. With Wolves coming up and probably a slightly easier schedule. 3 or 4 wins, and we get back to Aston Villa. Bring Aston Villa back to the Emirates. Mark the calendar. Mark your calendar for Aston Villa coming back to the Emirates, and we'll show them what for. Right, we'll give them what for. But with all of the crisis or difficult times Arsenal fans are having, think about others. Right, think about Liverpool. Think about Chelsea. These are teams that should be doing better this season. All right. If Kanate doesn't make that tackle, says Tom, they see it out, but he did, so they didn't. Yeah, and he's always on the crime scene. That's what Arnie Slot said. I still think Arsenal have the best team and will win it. Tom, I agree with you. What I just want is Mikel Arteta to think about. There's nothing you can really do at the back right now because we're stretched thin at the back right now. So it's all hands on deck. You might rotate some minutes here and there. There's not a lot, but there's not a lot you can do at the back. Is situations and players you can use in midfield, particularly to help Rice and Zubimendi with their minutes at the end of a long week. Sometimes, so Norgard can be brought in. There's some forward players that can be switched in and out. Eze can play in Odegaard's role. Odegaard doesn't have to be ordained once again as the right eight that shall play every minute. And I do think there's an element of even winning games, the managers are waiting on the sideline, hoping and praying that they don't lose or draw a game because honestly, they're using their squad, the last drops of their squad, to get through games. And Arteta was probably thinking, let's just get through this game. We got back in the game. We tried to go and win it, but they get to defend too. And Emi Martinez is a good goalkeeper also, who's won a World Cup, and they get paid too. And I'm thinking Arteta was, let's get a point out of this. Unai Emery would have been happy with a point as well, but the home team always push for that win. So there is an element that I think every manager does it. Pep Guardiola does it. They use their players in situations in the season where everybody's getting tired, but you have to maintain. You have to keep churning out wins, right? So yeah, Tom, I do also think that we will win it in the end as well. But Mikel Arteta's got to use somebody like Norgard, who's not played any games at all. And maybe Wolverhampton Wanderers and Club Brugge, the 2 games coming up, are the perfect examples of games that Norgard's going to play in. Retroholic Gamer, I agree. Don't like them all, but the team didn't have any recognized centre halves in the team. It gave them more confidence to attack us playing wide. fullbacks at the back. They played wide. They pushed their fullbacks on against us. I would Eze. We're not truly using Eze correctly if we're going to stick him out on the wing there. Eze's come from Crystal Palace where he's had a free role, um, basically inside right channel, basically where Odegaard plays. Um, Tom goes on to say, I think we've shown the Leeds at home are a different monster than the big and the big six shouldn't underestimate. Yeah, yeah. I haven't looked at it yet, but Arsenal's got to be going there. Well, we played them earlier in this. You played you earlier in the season. We've got to be going there in January, February, if you know if it comes around like that. So that'll be a tricky one. The Premier League will not just hand you over a trophy. You have to go and grab it. You have to wrestle it out of the hands of who has it right now. You have to wrestle all away from them. Really, Everton away on the lights will be as tough as yesterday. I agree, but I also think that maybe, each game's different first and foremost, right? I think Aston Villa have a little bit more quality about them than Everton do, and we may have some of our central defenders back ready. I think what's important now is maybe let's try to find out when Saliba is going to get back. The questions will come to Arteta. When will Saliba be coming back? When will Gabriel Magalhaes be coming back? It's the ground for me, Retroholic Gamer said. It's the ground for me. Elland, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea, Villa, etc. all have tight-knit grounds, and fans are intimidating. Definitely. Liverpool fans are intimidating. Tottenham is a tough place to go to. It's a derby. Chelsea and Villa, we've done those now. So if we maintain our form and progress through next year, then certainly we will be needing to get some big results when those teams come to the Emirates. And we have a lot of home games coming back to us in the league. 2 points clear. Big home games coming back to us, and games against lesser lights, home and away, which should be your bread and butter in the Premier League. That's how you win a Premier League. You be consistent against most of the bottom teams. Don't let a team like Brentford away from home beat you. Don't let a team like Wolves beat you. Rid said, Tom will be pleased to know that my Football Manager 26's team's home ground is named after Marcelo Bielsa. Newell's Old Boys, yes. Okay. Mikel, please rotate against Club Brugge. Please do it, Mikel. All right, so listen, I think we will come back to the Arsenal game a little bit. Let's just remember it was 96 days since we last lost against Liverpool. 96 days, that's over 3 months. We go another 96 days without a defeat. That'll be a hell of an achievement. That'll mean we're into March without another defeat, and we picked up another handful of points we're on, let's say we go another 15 games and we get to game 30 and we have 66 points. A similar haul, right? And we're on course for the run-in, the last 8 games, which should give you 24, 66, 70, it's about close to 90 points. And you have to be around 90 points to win the league this season. Most seasons as well, right? Villa had 8 home wins leading into this game, so we're not privileged enough to think we can just turn up, hand in the timesheet, have the manager sign off on the bottom of the paper, and collect 3 points. The three points will just be administered to us by the turnstiles at Aston Villa or the boardroom at Aston Villa. We'll just go there with our cigars in hand and submit the paperwork and get 3 points. No, you have to go. You have to pick a team. You have to pick a team that's physical enough to be able to overcome a Premier League team this season away from home. And you have to play well and score goals. And the old idea is to score more than you concede, you know? So Stan is in the backstage room now. How are we doing, Stan?
Good morning. Happy Sunday to everyone.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Don't tell me anything about Formula One because I'm going to watch it afterwards.
Oh, okay. No spoilers. No Formula
spoilers.
One spoilers. Who do you want to win? Well,
Anyone but Max.
okay.
Anyone. Let's move on.
Okay. No spoilers. All right, Stan. I'm. Thank you for joining me. I know you're scrambling a little bit. Hopefully, safely to get on with me here today. And have you been listening to any of my diatribe?
Little bits and pieces, but I'm quite busy. Sundays are quite difficult for me, unfortunately.
What are your thoughts on yesterday?
Well, as I said on the Thursday show, I was talking before that about the Chelsea game, and I was saying that there's maybe a team out there that can get the better of us over a couple of games, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we won't win anything. And I was using the example of the season that Leicester won the league, and I think we were the only team that managed to get the better of Leicester home and away. You know, that didn't do us any favours in actually winning it. They went on to win the league. And I was thinking that perhaps, if you remember, I was saying that maybe Chelsea could be that team. And then after the Chelsea game, I was looking ahead and saying maybe I got it wrong and Aston Villa could be that team. Because invariably, we seem to always have a little bit of trouble when we face Aston Villa. And I don't think it's got so much about Unai Emery being our past manager, because it's not the same team. We play in a totally different way, different tactics and different personnel. But for whatever reason, he manages to get his team up for, or manages to set them up in a way that always seems to give us trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, fair play to him. He's just doing his job, right?
Yeah, you gotta hold your hands up at the end of the day, as you probably mentioned here in the last 45 minutes. Hold your hands up. You were beaten by the better team, and we've won by late goals in the 95th minute, and we lost one. So if you're in this game, if you're a supporter, you have to understand these things happen. And you got to give props to the opposing team sometimes. And sometimes you'll lose because we weren't just good enough and the other team were better.
Exactly.
Let's remember as well, Stan, Manchester City lost at Villa Park. Many other teams will. And I think last season, the commentator said last season, we were the only team to beat them at Villa Park last season.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the season is 38 games, and I don't expect my team to get points in every single one of those games. And there will be teams that we will be able to beat, and there'll be teams that may be in rival challenges that won't be able to beat them, and vice versa. You know, on the day, you know, Aston Villa managed to get the better of us, but it's about consistency over the course of the season. And Aston Villa haven't been as consistent as us. Otherwise, they'd be in our position.
Yeah, you know? I think that's a very, very good point. Right?
You know, I'm at the stage where I don't go on Twitter and start, you know, and have to dissect every loss. And I don't feel the need to have to point the finger after every loss and say it was this person's fault and it was that person's fault. And do you know what I mean? It just doesn't. For me, it just doesn't work like that. I saw on social media Martin Odegaard getting a lot of the blame from a lot of people. Yet I didn't watch the game live because it was a 4:30 kickoff in the morning. I watched the highlights. And when I watched the highlights, I paid particular attention to Martin Odegaard because of what I'd seen online. And for me, I thought that from what I could see, he had a good game.
Yeah,
you know, he got shots off. You know, he managed to nick the ball off of one of their players in our penalty area and start another attack. I thought that he was doing his bit. You know, it's easy in hindsight to go, oh, player X shouldn't have started. We should have started this player instead. But the manager knows a lot more than what we do. He sees the players a lot more than what we do. Sometimes, rather than trying to find fault and have a label for the reason why you lost, sometimes it was just that the opposition was set up better than what you were on the day, and they managed to take their chances more than we were on the day. And
Yep.
so, obviously I'm disappointed that we didn't get any points, but I'll accept it because, as I say, I understand that over 38 games, I don't expect us to win 38 games.
Well, do you know how many days, Stan, it's been since, you might have heard me say it, how many days it's been since we last lost the game? And we've gone 18 unbeaten.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good record.
96 days, Stan, 96 days since we last lost.
It's not bad, really, is it? I mean, we're doing as much as we can, and we also have a depleted team. We face a lot of injuries. We've not been able to pick from a full complement from our squad. Yeah. I think we've made a good account of ourselves.
Yeah. Yes. If we go another 96 days, Stan, it'll be the middle of March before we lose another game. 96 days from now.
I mean, I do understand some of the comments as well about rotation.
Yep.
I get that. But I mean, and the manager's going to either live or die by those decisions. I can sit back and say, why isn't Nordgaard getting more minutes, to close out games, to give people rest?
Well,
I mean, what was the point in spending the money on him and paying his wages and giving him a space to sit in the dressing room if you're not going to be able to use him? But I mean, the manager feels for whatever reason that he doesn't want to go that way at the moment.
Well,
at the end of the season, depending on where we end up, we will then be able to sit back and say, well, these are some of the faults that maybe the manager has had in the way that he set us up, or in his lack of trust in certain players. But I'm not going to lose my head over this.
Yeah, I was watching a Liverpool podcast because there has been some big Liverpool news overnight, and the podcaster said one thing which resonates for all managers. Right? He said only the manager's choices get challenged or get dissected. The fans' choices don't get dissected, because
Exactly.
the manager is the only one who can make those choices.
Yeah, exactly.
One other thing you were saying as well about rotation, but some of the games yesterday, Mikel Arteta mentioned the chaos in the last minute, and that's sort of the chaos that Aston Villa applied to us, the pressure they applied to us. Brighton got a similar goal this morning. You'll be able to check the highlights out. And Brighton got a similar goal just by applying a lot of pressure and a lot of chaos, and West Ham were not able to clear their lines. That's what happened to us yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. There was a lot of pressure in the box for that last goal. Obviously, you're mindful of not wanting to give anything away when you're in the penalty box. And you just got to say fair play to Aston Villa. They wanted it and they got it.
Very, very often goals are scored because they arrive at the feet of the player exactly where he wants it. And that's what happened with Buendia. That's what happened with Matty Cash for the first goal as well. Another day, those bounces don't go their way and we get a different result. But you have to play the game. You have to accept the result that comes in based off of that.
But it's nervy. I mean, I can understand people getting nervy. We've seen quite a lead. It's been decreased now to only 2 points.
Yes.
So, it's up to us to just make sure that we can continue to get points out of games and try not to worry about, the teams that are coming up behind us.
Yeah, the form table, I was mentioning the form table, the last 5 games does not make for pretty reading. Those are probably the games that most of them, Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba, were not there for, We've only won 2 and drawn 2. We've won 2, drawn 2, and lost 1 out of those 5 games. So a grand total of 8 points from 15, Stan. But you add those 8 points to the 8 wins and 1 draw from the previous 10 games, It all balances out to where, as you're saying, we still have a 2 point lead over City. Nobody's been performing consistently over 15 games better than we have. Um, Man City notwithstanding it even as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're almost at the halfway point, give or take a couple
Yeah,
of games.
yeah,
We're almost at that halfway point. And if we could replicate the kind of form that we have in the first half of the season, we could be in a good place come the end. A lot of the other teams that even though they may have the lead has decreased, you know, they all look capable of losing games.
yeah.
They all look
Before this,
capable. They all look capable of having goals scored against them.
yeah,
And it's very rare that you see a team able to get a couple of goals against Arsenal. It's a rare thing.
yeah, it had to be.
We're not winning games 4-3. We're not winning games 3-2. It's difficult for teams to get more than one goal against Arsenal.
Yep.
It's difficult.
And yesterday took till the last kick of the game, 95th minute, to do that. Before the last 5 games where we've been struggling, we did win 5 in a row before that, Stan. So we have to put this last 5 games behind us and kind of go again and string 5 more games, 5 more wins together. And that includes a return game with Aston Villa at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Um,
Hopefully we can get a little bit of retribution.
So the squad in general, the squad is being used quite well by Mikel Arteta. I think if we're really to get bear down on it, there's nothing really do right now about the back four. When you have 3 of our central defenders injured, what can you do? But play a back five that you can play as best you can by putting Urian Timber in there as your emergency, quote unquote emergency centre back.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I think that in that situation, for me, in a situation where you've got to play Ben White and Urian Timber in your back four because of injuries and absences, I would, me personally, but what do I know? I'm not a football manager, right? I'm not a coach, but I would, on the just looking at it, I would play Ben White as the central defender and Urian Timber as the right back. I just think that the attributes that they have, if that's a decision that you've got to make by putting them both in the back four, I just feel that the attributes work better the other way. I think that Urian Timber is built more to be, even though he's come from Ajax as a central defender in that league, I think in this league, I think he's built better to perform better as a right back than he is in the central role. I'm not saying that he can't do it. And Ben White is built better to probably have a little bit more success as a central defender. If it's a needs must thing and you've got to field both of them. But I mean, the manager obviously sees it differently. He sees them up close every day and knows what they're capable of.
Yeah. Catch up on a couple of comments here. BX going to say Arteta's lack of tactics has been exposed. Bit harsh, maybe. In-game management was poor after we got the goal. We should have gone attacking and put them under pressure. I feel like, I know you're looking at the highlights, but I feel like we did have a couple of opportunities. But yeah, they've got some good defenders and they're very physical in midfield as well. You could see McGinn and Tielemans getting about us, Onana getting about us as well. Actually, McGinn and Onana had to come off because of the work they were putting in there as well.
In that situation, with the last comment that you read out, on the field, what do you think actually happens? Okay, when the goal goes in, do you think that the manager tells them, okay, you don't need to attack anymore now, you can take it a bit easier, or is it down to what the players are doing on the pitch? I'm pretty sure that the manager wants the team to keep going and get that next goal to try and close it out.
You played kickabout in the park, right? You played some games, and you're playing competitively. I think the mindset is you're like, okay, great, we're one each now, and we just keep playing we're going to win this game. We just keep playing the way we've been playing. That's what I feel anyway. The manager the human beings that play this game, even if they're professional footballers for Arsenal, they're still human beings, and they're still thinking, "We'll get it. We'll get the chance to win this game." And you kind of want to back yourself. Those
Yeah,
professional footballers want to back themselves, right?
the only time that you see that the manager makes that call is if then you go one up and then the manager decides to make changes.
Yeah.
And you can actually see that for whatever reason he's going defensive.
Yeah.
You can understand that, but sometimes as well you're going to have players that by that point in the game are more tired than they were when they started.
Yeah.
You're coming off of the back of a week where you've played a midweek game as well. You've got injuries. You don't have a lot to choose from as you would like. There's lots of reasons for it, but I don't think it's like, we go a goal up and then we start sitting off, and Arteta's got to stop doing that. How do we know that he's doing that? There is a lot of factors
that go into that.
There's a lot of factors involved, and the manager can only do so much from the sidelines.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure when you're going at half time in a situation like that, the manager's probably saying like, "Come on, guys, what are you doing? We need to get another one." I'm pretty sure in a situation like that, the manager's not going to be going, "Okay, yeah, nicely played, lads. We'll just sit off. We've got a one nil lead. Let's just try and hold on to that. Let's not go too mad. Let's not try and get another one." I just don't believe that a manager would do that.
Yeah,
I could maybe hear a manager saying that at 2-0 up.
No, you're right. The only way is substitutions. Substitutions inform the other players as to maybe the thinking of the manager. Because here's what I was thinking in the 78 minute stand. Bukayo Saka picked up that crazy yellow card, which is basically comes off of the emotions of the fans as well. Saka goes into a tackle, he gets a yellow card. Madueke comes on, so we're protecting Saka from this yellow card. Madueke comes on. My thoughts were, well, this is good. Madueke is going to be direct. He's a different type of player than Bukayo Saka is. So he's going to be direct. And some people were saying, well, maybe we made the wrong decision to go for Madueke because we had no control then of the ball. You know what I mean? Rids thinks that Saka's not been the same player ever since we rushed him back from injury end of last season. I just think that we've come to be able to score goals from other areas of the field. So our reliance on Bukayo Saka looks less and less. That's my take on Bukayo Saka, his injury in the last year. BX said this loss just reeked of Arteta not doing his job well. There is a discussion to be had about midfield. BX goes on to talk about. Our left side is always left vulnerable and exposed every time Calafiori inverts. So Calafiori's done a great job, I think, in the left back area going into midfield. Anytime you lose a goal in that area of the pitch, questions will be asked about our tactics, right? So there's a lot to probably chew into their stand or to get.
It's all about opinions, right? I mean, I have opinions as well that probably aren't very popular. I'm of the opinion that when it's sort of like, I don't know, 70 minutes and we need something, and we take off say Mikel Merino and we bring on Victor Gyökeres, I'm not confident that he's going to come on and be able to score a goal. I'm just not. I'm sorry that there's people out there that love Victor Gyökeres to bits and putting their hands over their ears, but that's just the way that I feel about the player. He's not that sort of player for me that, for me, I think he struggles a lot still. Everything has to be just right for him to score a goal. The stars have to be aligned in a certain way. The porridge cannot be too hot and the porridge cannot be too cold. It must be just right. And for me, that doesn't fill me with confidence. It's a little bit like when we'd be in the middle of a game, a few seasons ago, we need to get something out of the game. And the manager thinks, okay, it's been 70 minutes now, and I need to do something. I need to freshen it up. I need to make a change. And then you look over and you see Eddie and Nketiah warming up to come on. When I used to see that, I didn't think, okay, right, he can come on and get something here. I'm just like, Well, there's an 80% chance he's not going to be able to change the scoreline, and there is a slim 20% chance that he might be able to. And I
Yeah,
kind of feel the same with Gyökeres. It's
yeah,
different. It's different on the left hand side. Let's say we've got Trossard playing, and maybe he's already got a goal, but he's looking a bit tired. If I see Martinelli come on, I think, okay, Martinelli's still a danger. He can still make something happen, and vice versa. If Martinelli starts the game, and it's Trossard that's coming on, and I see that, I think, okay, he can still affect the game. He can still, make a contribution and help us to get the 3 points as opposed to just getting 1 point. But I just don't feel like that with Victor Gyökeres. And it's just because of the way that I've seen him play.
Well, what did you at halftime? The substitutions were Mikel Merino coming off for Gyökeres, who came on in the second half, and then that was coupled with Eze coming off, who was on the left wing, and Trossard coming on. So, what are your thoughts of Gyökeres and Trossard?
I think maybe depending on fitness levels, I think obviously Trossard at the moment is in a good patch of form, and if he is healthy, should be starting.
Yeah,
Unless there's an issue, what has he done to warrant not starting?
I read. So I read he just re-aggravated his injury, his groin injury or a calf injury, and that's why he did come off. He was the substitute who was substituted. And I generally don't like that happening, but it was for an injury reason, a health reason. So Trossard might miss a day of maybe a week, And we have Club Brugge coming up next in the Champions League, coupled with Wolverhampton Wanderers visiting the Emirates, not the Etihad.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, upcoming fixtures as well may change. May influence when you make your changes. But for me, all things being equal, if Mikel Merino is able to play, I'd rather keep him on. And I'm not doing that. I'm not projecting and looking at the next game. I'm just looking at the game at the moment in isolation, because I'm more confident that he is able to carve something out and make a goal scoring opportunity more than Victor Gyökeres is. It's just the way that I see it.
I guess that the unknown question in a few weeks will be: do we then favour Kai Havertz walking back into the team?
Well, no, he's got to earn that. He's got to be able to come off of the bench and show why he should be in the starting lineup.
Okay.
You can't just open the door and roll out the red carpet and again, there you go, mate.
That's what we're doing.
And it's the same for Gabriel Jesus as well. If you're on the bench, you've been out for a long period of time. You've had no influence on the season so far. Why are you just being, heralded back into the team? You've got to earn it. If you've got anything about you, you'll come off the bench and you'll make a case for why you should be starting.
You'll do it. Yeah. Really, BX here says the midfield is stretched. What's going on with Norgard? I mean, why can't Norgard get a look in, Stan? And we've been talking about this for a few weeks now.
Again, I have no idea, and I'm just repeating what I said on Thursday. Norgard is not a player that's come from another league abroad that needs to settle. He's come from this league. He's come from the same city as in London. He's played against all of the teams that Arsenal play against, home and away, and he was a captain of a team, which means that he was being used. If he was fit, he played. So he wasn't a bit part player. I don't understand why the manager, for whatever reason, is willing to burn some of our midfielders out when we've got a midfielder who's fit and is on the bench. To me, that I don't understand that. I can't pretend to you why he's doing that. I've got no idea. But it is interesting to see that, we are in the month of December and you start to see, the rumours start coming out about who's linked with who. And I have noticed that, we've been linked with some midfielders. Which, if there's anything that you can read in that, if we're here saying, well, the midfield looks a bit stretched, that then tells me that the coaching staff and the manager also feels the same.
To me, Stan, you got five options for three positions in midfield, right? We know it's going to be Declan Rice, Zubimendi, and Odegaard most times, but You throw Eze in there, throw Norgard and Eze, throw them into the mix as well, and you could do a combination of any three from five for rotation, right, and resting.
Yeah, maybe the manager just doesn't see it like that.
Yeah,
He just
which
doesn't. He obviously doesn't see it that way. Otherwise, Norgard would be coming on and be able to give would be able to give a breather
well,
to a Zubamendi or perhaps even a Declan Rice.
I just hope that we can get through this period and maintain our advantage over Man City. 2 points. I'm sure we'll go win for a few weeks, but we need to stretch it now. If Man City get a draw, we need to win. So we need to start stretching our advantage. And Mikel Arteta needs to start making the choices that are correct for the squad and for maintaining the intensity through the season, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Um, yeah. So this, but for perspective, Stan, look at other teams. You look at even at Man City, who've had their difficulties. Look at Manchester United, who've been struggling. Um, look at Chelsea, and then look at what's going on in Liverpool. That's why I pretty much caption it. It's tough at the top here. Kind of sarcastically, we have our own problems that a lead has been cut back on us, which you would expect in any title race. You know, if you have a title race with challengers that are worthy challengers, we're not going to be allowed to walk away with this thing.
Yeah, I'm just worried as well that if we get into a situation where a team does go ahead of us, how our players mentally are going to respond to that.
Yeah,
It's going to be interesting, right?
yeah.
See how they're able to respond. But
And if
we have to always keep acknowledging the fact that we're far from able of picking off our best 11.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something as we did a couple of seasons ago, where in 18 games you win 16 of them and draw one, and even the draw was contentious because it wasn't enough. It was the extra 2 points that we needed to win the league a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah,
Um,
fine margins.
we go to want to talk. I don't know if you heard about the Liverpool news overnight.
Yeah,
Or
I
what's
did.
up?
I
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
So what?
So
I
again,
want
that just for me that means that they're nowhere near going to be a problem for us this season because as bad as they've been playing, when you have a situation where your main man is now coming out into the media and putting out statements against the manager and against the club, you just get like a circus that goes around that because you'd have to think that if this, it's one of two situations. Either Mo Salah has come out and said what he said, and he's on an island on his own, and everybody else in the dressing room is galvanized, and they're in one group and they don't agree with him, and he's sort of like, even though as talented as he is, he's a rabble rouser. He's trying to start a one-man revolution, and he's on his own. We've got that going on, or he feels comfortable to come out and say what he's saying because he knows that he's not the only player that feels the same way, and he's more than happy to be the face of the rebellion. So it's one of those two things, right? But it was interesting that I was reading this morning that Liverpool are going to back Arne Slot, and they feel that the manager should be in a place where he's allowed to have room to make the tactical changes. That's his job, and I would kind of be inclined to agree with that. On the face of it, you'd think that on the face of it, the manager, it doesn't matter what you've done before. It's like in sales, right? You're only as good as your last sale.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be in sales and you haven't had a sale in 8 months and you're still walking around the office talking about the Johnson deal that you got 8 months ago that was worth X amount. That was the Johnson deal was all good on the day and everybody had a glass of champagne and we had a celebration. But 8 months on, where's that next deal coming from? And it's like that for footballers. It's like that for footballers as well. But the problem is, if Mohamed Salah isn't on his own and he is the face of the rebellion, then you have to say that the manager isn't going to be long for this world. because it's easier to replace the manager than it is to gut the team. And are you going to really gut the team when you've just spent 500,000 on it?
Yeah,
£500,000. You know, you've made that investment.
500 million.
You've 500 million. Sorry, yeah. You've got to make that work.
500 million.
Exactly. You've got to make that work, because you just made that huge investment, which was supposed to enable you to retain the title, and they're not even challenging it for it again. So it's going to be interesting. But again, that's something that is going to help us, because they've got to deal with all of that now.
Yeah,
they've got to deal with that. Every press conference, every pre-game, every post-game, that's what they want to talk about.
Yeah, the pressers will want to press that issue. No pun intended. I think it's the former of the two that you mentioned, because Szoboszlai came out in the same meeting, and maybe before Mo Salah went through, because I think it's like a walkthrough, and there's all these journalists. Most of the time, the footballers will walk by and give no comments, but Mo Salah picked this moment to break everything. Szoboszlai said, and probably before Salah came out, Szoboszlai said, whatever happens stays in the dressing room, and we don't talk about these things. And basically, we should be able to close out a game where you're leading 2-0 and you're leading 3-2. That you should be able to finish the game and win. So the camp,
and that's down to the players. The manager is not physically out there on the pitch. It's up. They should be the ones that are there to close out the game. Not they know what they're doing. Like every 5 minutes, looking over to the bench, going like, "What we're supposed to be doing? What we're supposed to be doing?" They know
defend the corner.
They know what they're supposed to be doing. Right?
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, some of these players just ain't doing it. Virgil van Dijk, to me, just looks awful. He's supposed to be the leader of the pitch as well, and he looks far from that. He's far from being the leader.
It is a situation where lines are being drawn, and it is the player versus the manager. The other players are willing to row in and do what needs to be done for the club.
I mean, if I was the manager, I'd be putting Mo Salah aside and saying, like, why are you crying to the press like a little bitch, complaining that I'm not playing you? When I was picking you, you weren't giving me anything. What do you expect me to do? Do you know what I mean? This is a team game of 11 players. And when I've been picking you, sometimes I've been feeling like we've been playing with a man short. So why are you giving me shit?
This is an understanding that he had with Jurgen Klopp, that he would not be. Don't ask me to defend. Don't ask me to track back. I'll win games for you. And that's, to be fair, that's
he's not being. I heard an interview. It was some time ago, and one of the things. And I think it was towards the end of last season when they won the league, and they were asking Mo Salah, what are the differences? Are there any differences with the way that you personally are playing under Slot than you did under Jurgen Klopp? And he was basically alluding to the fact that under Slot, he doesn't have to track back as much. He's not being asked to do that. He is being given more freedom to stay further up the pitch. So what's he complaining about?
Yeah. What he's really complaining about, Stan, is the fact that Arne Slot's had difficulty putting together these big name players, these big transfers, all on the pitch at the same time and making it work. So he's had to go back to the start, drop Mo Salah, who hasn't been playing well this season, and trying to win some games. Now, that being said, they've won 1 and drawn 2 of the last 3. But they haven't really pulled up any trees or set the world alight.
But when it comes down to Mo Salah as an individual, his position hasn't been affected. He's not being asked to play out of position, or he's still playing in his preferred place, and he's still not able to make something happen. Whose fault is that? Is that the manager's fault, or is that the player's fault? The player has to take some sort of responsibility here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I just think that sometimes you get to really understand a personality of a player. It's all well and good when everything's going really well and you're winning and everyone's smiling and everyone's like, hey, yep, that's another 3 points in the bag. But when things are going bad, that's when you find out who you've really got around you. And it seems to me that when things are going bad, Mo Salah isn't someone that you can count on, because he's more than happy to go to the press like a whiny little bitch and try to he's like, I feel I've been thrown under the bus. He said that a couple of times in his statement. What you're doing now, I would say, is trying to throw the manager under the bus. He's not picking you because he just doesn't like you. He's not picking you because you're trying to date his daughter and he's against that. He's not trying to get you out of the club. They've just given you a very high pay rise, but you're not paying that back. You're not earning your salary. So what's he supposed to do? What's he supposed to do? What if it was what if it was the player on the other side of the field? Let's say the person that plays on the left-hand side was constantly letting them down. I'm sure Mo Salah would be like, come on, we've got to change this. That guy over there,
how about
over there, he's letting us down. He's not giving us everything. We need to change that. Now that player is you. Now that is you. Yeah. So, you've got to go away. You've got to think about why your game is being affected so badly, and then you've got to somehow, through training and application and coming off of the bench, you've now got to work your way back into the team. You can't start crying and go like, "But I'm Mo Salah. I am the Brian Kendrick." That's a wrestling thing. I am the Mo Salah. You start putting "the" in the front of your name. I've done this. I've done that. I've done this and I've done that. Remember the Johnson sale I got in January? That Johnson sale that saved the office. Yeah, but that was a long time ago. We've moved on since then. Other people have started making sales as well. I don't like it.
The timing.
Oh, you're not picking me. I'm gonna start going to the bitch and start crying. Do your job then. Do your job then.
The timing of this is very suspicious. We have an African Cup of Nations that's going to be starting pretty soon. So Mo Salah, I think, has got one more game against Brighton at the weekend.
I don't think he's traveling.
He'll be packing his bags and going to the African Cup of Nations.
They're saying that wherever they've gone for their next match, he hasn't travelled with them. They've already left to go somewhere. I don't know what it is. Is it Champions League?
Inter Milan.
Yeah, I don't think he's travelled for that. And then I don't see why. Why would you pick him?
Right. Exactly. You can't pick him.
I would be pulling him to the side and say, look, I heard what you've said. I'm going to just ask you, do you want to fight for your place or do you want to leave? Which one is it? It's one of the two. And if he says, well, I don't want to be here anymore, why would you have him in your plans for the next game? You're like, okay, there's a window coming up now, very quickly. We'll move you on. But if I pull the guy to the side and he's like, well, yeah, I still want to be here, I'd be like, okay, well, you know what you need to do. You need to apply yourself, and going to the media and throwing your toys out of the pram, it's a bad look. It's a bad look on you, it's a bad look on me, and it's a bad look on the club that agrees to pay you the exorbitant salary that you receive. So I don't think you'll see him again.
No.
I don't think you'll see him again. And what a way for a club legend to end. What a way to leave. It's not, you're leaving in a really bad way. You're not able to say goodbye properly. You're just taken out of the team and then you're moved on. Because no one is bigger than the club.
It smacks a little bit of Aubameyang for us a few years ago.
Yeah, and also Sanchez.
Yeah, and those were January departures as well. So I agree with you. I think they are going to back the manager and the player who, this is probably going to be his last season anyway to the summer, but it's going to be cut short to January. And, January is going to be a month where Liverpool will look to get the deal done for him, but they will look to do it at the right price as well. So here we go. I mean, it's a little bit of karma, right? I mean, they had this situation where Isak was unhappy at Newcastle and he spat the dummy, threw his toys out of the pram and wanted to come to Liverpool. Well, Isak's not exactly set the world alight. And here we have a situation where Mo Salah, now affected by those transfers and the ambition of the club, is unable to get into the side himself, after Liverpool spending, 500 million plus this past summer. Everything looked great. This is maybe the beauty of things. We have to remember this, Stan. in the summer when everybody, and we don't get emotional, we don't get upset about the summer window. Okay, it drags on a bit, but we can't properly, and we've always said we can't properly comment on the summer window until it closes, and we sort of see how the players settle in. 6 months ago, Liverpool fans were overjoyed. They got Isak, they got Ekitike, and they got Verts. Well, how's that working out for you right now?
Yeah, I mean,
Not
on paper, it looks really good, and I have to say that out of all of those, Ekatike looks like the one that is, showing his worth. But sometimes players suit different environments. I mean, a great example that I will use is Willian. Willian for us was no good.
yeah,
First game and his last game was the bookend of everything in between was rubbish. To be quite frank, but then he went to another club in the same city, Fulham, and for whatever reason, that environment seemed to suit him far better. He had
yeah,
much better performances for Fulham than he did at Arsenal. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Fulham is a better team. For whatever reason, the environment at Fulham was more conducive to Willian for you to be able to get a tune out of Willian than it was at Arsenal. And he was given plenty of opportunities at Arsenal to get into the groove, but for whatever reason, he just couldn't. He did at
yeah.
Chelsea, couldn't at Arsenal, but could at Fulham. And maybe it's the same for Florian Wirtz.
And maybe
For whatever reason, the environment in Germany was much better suited to him than it is in Liverpool.
And maybe Stan, it's the same for Unai Emery. You know, the lights in London were a little bit
Exactly.
too bright for Unai Emery, and it wasn't the right time. The team wasn't in the best shape, and the mentality or culture
And
of
it's
the
always
club
difficult
wasn't
if you're not
correct.
being backed as well. You know what you need to
Yep,
do to make the team to shape the team, but no one's
yep,
listening to you.
yep. All right, so we'll watch this space for Mo Salah news. He's going to go to the Afcon probably. Fade away from the lights, and of course, it's a horrible way for, and like Liverpool fans hold Mo Salah up as if, and probably rightly so because he scored so many goals, as if they were. He gets compared to Thierry Henry, but I couldn't imagine Thierry Henry leaving Arsenal in this kind of storm as Mo Salah might be leaving Liverpool. You know, um, yeah, Thierry Henry spat the dummy a couple of times, especially in the last season at Arsenal when he was playing with younger players. But that's the kind of comparison we're looking at here. So a couple more things, and then we'll get out of here. Stan, thanks for joining me for the last hour or so here. Um, Brady said we have seen evidence the city can go on long runs after the January, February till end of season.
Yeah.
So we have seen that City can do it if they have all the. I'm going to say if they have all the elements, and they're all firing. There is signs that maybe that's happening, right? I'm not going to dismiss it. The threat is real. That we've analyzed their attack, and we think that there's a chance. Then, as the
Yeah,
saying.
but as I said on previously, I think we edged them in the defence, but now we're in a situation where we're not able to play with our preferred defenders, three of our preferred defenders. So, that could be a problem. All things being equal and well, I think it's our defences which helps us to edge City. But if we don't have them available, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. So, any quick comments? Put them in there. Any quick questions? Put them in there. We'll close this out in a minute or two here, and we'll take it. We'll take it to the next game, which is going to be Club Bruges at the weekend, at the midweek. Stan, it's got to be a really mixed team now in the Champions League for me. You know.
Well, it depends on who's available. I mean, we've seen Jesus on the bench. He wasn't in the last game, but we've seen that.
So one other thing I wanted to let me just get back to. You reminded me about Jesus. I've made some notes. I think it's important. Something we talked about. Arsenal basically. I was annoyed. Maybe you were annoyed. A lot of fans were annoyed that we signed off on the last January window. We didn't do anything. We knew we needed to do something. We didn't bring anyone in, and we signed off basically on Liverpool coasting to the line unchallenged. How about this? If we'd have stumped up another 20 million for Ollie Watkins, he would have potentially been our Gabriel Jesus replacement, because surely Gabriel Jesus is going to leave this January, you know? So for me, that would have been a third striker that could have helped us in January.
I don't know. I mean, if Gabriel Jesus is going to leave in January, I mean, there's a lot of factors to that, right? How much do we want for him? You've also got to factor in a club saying, well, we want to buy this guy. We're interested in this guy. But the fee, and on top of that, his wages. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, because he earns a lot of money. And, you know, if you're earning a lot of money, you want to keep earning a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
I don't think there's any guarantee that Gabriel Jesus leaves in January. Maybe in the summer. But what I do think that they have learnt their lesson from last January, and that they will bring in more reinforcements.
Wow.
I think there is still a little bit of money in the kitty. There will be some movements, even maybe some loans going out.
So it's got to be midfield, right? Holding midfielder?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think maybe a box-to-box midfielder to give somebody that can give proper competition and respite to Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Because we've kind of got in the attacking side of the midfield. I think we've got a good complement now. We've got Odegaard, we've got Emery, Eze, even got a Trossard if you really wanted to.
Madueke, Trossard, Martinelli, Saka.
But on the defensive side, we've got Zubamendi and we've got Nordegaard. For whatever reason, Nordegaard, we've not had an opportunity to even see how he fits in.
Yeah, I don't think he's played a single minute, has he?
I think in the midfield that there could be something happening, and I would say that it will be a midfielder, not an attacking midfielder, someone that can help with the box to box and defensive part of the midfield, maybe.
Yeah. Reddy's asking. I mean, I would certainly go with Salmon myself against Club Brugge. He's one of the academy players. Did find his name on the substitutes bench yesterday. So
never heard of him. Don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I would throw a kid in.
When you said Rudy's asking if we should start Salmon, I was literally like, who? I've no idea.
Yeah. But there you go. Club Brugge, Wednesday, Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, and then we play Everton away, and then Crystal Palace in the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup, Brighton at home, and then we get Aston Villa the day before New Year's Eve. So definitely we need to win 3 games and then face Aston Villa again at the end of the year, and rubber stamp our spot in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Crystal Palace. Just saying that, Stan, the sky is not falling in on us. We're 2 points clear at the top of the table. Other teams, as you've mentioned, will also drop points. We're in a quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup. We're top of the Champions League standings.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are no easy games. I mean, on paper, you'd look at a Leeds and think, well, that's an easy game there. You'd identify that. Why? Because they're a team that's just come up from the division below. But out of the game with Chelsea and Liverpool, which are big hitters in this division, they've managed to get 4 points.
Yeah, good week.
So there are no easy games, right? You'd think, well, just looking at paper and looking at fixtures, you could identify you could identify Sunderland as an easy game, but look where they are in the table.
Exactly.
They're right up there as opposed to being right down there. There's no easy games, and as I say, I think Leeds is the best example of that. There are no pushovers, right? Because if you can have Chelsea and Liverpool back to back and come out with 4 points, and you're a team that's just come up from the league below, that's not too bad at all, right? Not too
Yeah,
bad.
not at all. All right, Stan. Thanks. Thanks for joining today. That's all we have. Listen, so it's
Yeah, we move on.
there's
That's it.
only
We
going
move
to
on.
be, as you said, as a fan, there's only going to be a hand. Thankfully, for being an Arsenal fan right now, there's only a handful of times that we will have to encounter a loss, such as this. It only happens a few times this season. So we move on. We move on to the next one. Okay. Um, yeah, we need to beat Wolves now. Thanks everybody for watching. Stan, thanks for being here. Hopefully we'll catch you on the Thursday night forum. We'll be talking about the Club Brugge game and previewing the Wolves game. Um, thanks. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Adios, everybody.